Chapter 6. ER, Experienced Reality, the Wonder of the Millennium. The Brigadier surveyed Kitson with a somewhat cynical eye. He had come across too many of these smooth-talking Johnnies. Trying to sell something, this fellow was, like Chuffy Knowles. Perfectly decent cove when he was at Sandhurst, and then only 18 months after he left the service, turned into a smoothie just like Kitson and tried to sell him a life insurance policy. Over lunch at the club at that. Now, this may look like a restroom to you, Kitson was saying, but these luxuriant, ergonomically perfect couches can offer you the chance to know for yourself all the thrills this great old world of ours can offer. Like to go skiing? Can't ski? Oh, yes you can. You can ski as well as next year's Olympic champion. Skin diving, windsurfing, hang gliding, you name it. And not just on a colour telescreen. I'm talking about a real experience. A leisure experience beyond your wildest dreams. He was interrupted by the blurred voice of a member of his audience who had obviously been anticipating the promised wee snifter. That's not the sort of thing I dream about when I'm on my luxuriant couch, it said coarsely. The Brigadier looked round. He recognised the leering face at once, which was not surprising, since it not only graced the top of his daily column, but appeared with nauseating regularity on every sort of chat show, as he could always be relied upon to supply a generous measure of thinly veiled innuendo and implied smut. Septimus Hardiman, that was his name. Were there really 6 more at home like him? God help us all. Well, sir, replied Kitson, obviously treading very carefully. Although it wouldn't be appropriate to offer such delights to the general public, the technology is available to cater for every imaginable taste, to the utmost, satisfaction. He invested the word with a multiplicity of meaning. There was a feverish scribbling of notes and a clamour of voices, led by Hardiman's demand that he expand on the notion. But Kitson was into his prepared spiel once more. An opera lover, perhaps. You can not only be present at the first night of the new Traviata at La Scala Milan, but, if you wish, you can experience the joy of singing the lead role yourself, of being the star. A boxing fan? You can choose to watch from the best possible ringside seat, or, if you'd so desire, you can be up there in the ring yourself, fighting for the championship of the world. All very fine and dandy, thought the Brigadier, but why didn't the man stop nattering and let them all have a go? As the thought passed through his mind, it was voiced a deal more crudely by the obnoxious Septimus. Kitson was only too pleased to oblige, and the Brigadier was soon reclining at his ease, wearing a lightweight headset, trying to decide which of the many buttons on the control panel to push. There had been a mild altercation between himself and the doctor as to who should be first, as there weren't enough places to go round. Since, however, it soon appeared that the doctor wasn't really concerned, apparently on the grounds that ER would be a more sophisticated version of something he called VR, virtual reality, the Brigadier allowed himself to be persuaded. Well now, he said, finger poised, how about a day at the races? I've always enjoyed an outing with the GGs. He stabbed the appropriate button. Good grief, he exclaimed. I'm there! I'm really there! As if in the far distance, he heard the doctor's voice. Not a computer model, then. But it was almost drowned by the noise of the crowd, the shouting of the bookies, and the general din he knew so well. For yes, by Jiminy, he was really there. At Epsom, of all places. He was walking down towards the paddock. He could feel the grass under his feet, and the breeze in his face, and the smell of the horses mingling with the tempting aroma of cooking meat, drifting down from behind the crowd. He might pop over presently and get a bite. It seemed a long time since he had had his breakfast. With a jolt, he remembered what was really happening, and became aware of the doctor's voice. "For Pete's sake, Lethbridge Stewart, speak to me. What's going on?" By concentrating hard, he managed to regain a rudimentary consciousness of his real situation, like a far-off unwanted memory. He could feel his body lying on the couch, like the ghost of a thought at the back of his mind, and he was able to reply to the doctor. But even as he described his experience, he found himself leaning on the rail, surveying the runners. There was Murphy Muffin, the Irish winner of the Oaks. Should stand a very good chance. He glanced up. Yes, of course, he would be favourite. Odds on. The doctor was almost shouting at him. "Brigadier! I said, try turning round and walking back the way you came. Wretched fellow." "Frankly," he said, "I don't want to. I'm quite happy as I am." "A scientific experiment, man. Remember why we're here." "Oh, yes. The Brigadier managed to remember, but it seemed to be quite impossible to get his recalcitrant body to obey him. But it didn't matter. As he told the doctor, he was doing exactly what he wanted to do. Beautiful creatures, racehorses. "You're doing what the program wants you to do," the doctor was saying in the distance. Fred the Frog looked to be in good nick. He might be worth a few bob each way. "May I change the channel for you?" "What? Oh, if you must, but I say that I... Oof!" It was like hitting an air pocket. Epsom Downs vanished in an instant. The Brigadier felt himself falling through a cloud of black cotton wool? No sound, no sight, no touch, until abruptly, but with no sense of a sudden stop, he landed on a beach somewhere. The shock of the change had forcibly reminded him of the object of the exercise. He made a firm effort to make some sort of report to the doctor. "At the seaside, Lord knows where. Pretty darn hot. Strong smell of flowers, and can't quite place the perfume. I seem to be in my bathers. Been for a swim, I suppose. I can hear the surf behind me, and I'm walking up the beach towards a bunch of dolly birds." His intention faded away as he looked at the group of girls, half a dozen or so, sitting on the sand in the shade of some palm trees, and smiling a welcome. Absolute stunners, all of them, thought the Brigadier. There was something about a tanned female figure in a bikini, or half a bikini, some of them. As he sat down with them on the hot sand, he tried to work out what to say, casting his mind back to the wilder days of his youth, when he had acquired a number of very fruitful chat-up lines. But before he could open his mouth, he suddenly became aware of his legs, as he stretched them out in front of him. "Good heavens above! What is it?" he heard the doctor say. "Those aren't my legs. Those are not my legs." "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure. Since when have I painted my toenails pink? Those are female legs, for Pete's sake. And yet they're my legs, but they're not, if you see what I mean." Utterly disorientated, the Brigadier made a great effort and raised the phantom hand at the back of his mind and pulled off the headset. In an instant, the beach was nothing but a memory, and he was back with the doctor, blinking at the change of light, hearing the cries of wonder coming from the other couches. "Extraordinary experience," he said. "Bit beyond my ken, if you follow me, but quite fascinating. Here, you'd better have a go." But before the doctor could take the headset from him, Sarah's head appeared round the door. "Psst," she said. "And that's all he said?" asked the doctor, when Sarah had got them outside and told them what had happened. "It was all he had time for," she said. "What was he like, this fellow?" said the Brigadier. "Bit of an oik, actually," said Jeremy. Well, really, Sarah thought, how snobbish could you get? Giving Jeremy a reproving look, which obviously went right past him, she explained that the man was nothing of the kind, just that he had a London accent. Sort of Cockney? "Grabber, by Jove," said the Brigadier. The doctor said nothing. He walked a short distance away from them, where he seemed to be in close contemplation of a nearby bush covered with silver roses. After a minute or so, he turned round. His face was grave. "This merely confirms what I feel about this place," he said. "It could pose a serious threat. There's danger here." "What, you mean the monsters?" said the Brigadier. No, the doctor said impatiently. "I'm talking about real danger. It's this place, this ER, this experienced reality." If it was true that the doctor was over 700 years old, and that's what he had told Sarah, it was perhaps fair enough that he treated the Brigadier like an adolescent schoolboy. And really the Brigadier took it very well when the doctor told him that he was talking rubbish, saying that ER was only another form of telly. "Even if you consider it in that light, how many people are there who have to have a nightly fix of their favourite soap operas?" he said. "As harmless as being addicted to the caffeine in a cup of coffee, you might think. Well, television is to ER as caffeine is to heroin. Think, man, think how it must work." "Haven't the foggiest. How does it work?" The doctor explained that at first he had assumed it must be a subtle form of suggestion, a type of electronic hypnotism, which merely provided the seed of an experience which the subject's own brain expanded. Two things gave me the clue, however. Firstly, the way the program went its own way, no matter how much you tried to change it. And secondly, Lethbridge Stewart, your painted toenails." "Painted toenails? The Brigadier?" In spite of herself, Sarah couldn't help giggling. "Yes, well," the Brigadier said gruffly, "we won't go into that." "Oh, yes, we will," said the doctor. "Don't you see? Somebody had those experiences. Somebody went to Epsom races with a sensory transmitter implanted in his brain. The same with the woman on the beach. Every sense impression she had was transmitted to a polygraph recorder. And those sense impressions were reproduced in the Brigadier's brain, even down to the scent of the flowers." "Bougainvillea. I knew I'd smelt it before," said the Brigadier. "Must have been the Caribbean." Sounded great, thought Sarah. How could he say it was dangerous? Jeremy echoed her thought, saying it sounded whizzo wicked to him. The doctor explained. "The program took charge of the Brigadier's will," he said. "He wanted to go where he was being taken. He lost any intention of his own." "Not entirely," said the Brigadier, remembering his plans to chat up the girls on the beach. "For all practical purposes," replied the doctor. "But it's even worse than that. If these people, wherever they come from, have the technology to transmit brain signals and to control the receiver's will, they have the means to control a country, a world." A shiver ran down Sarah's spine. If what the doctor said was true, and she'd never known him wrong before, this was the story of a lifetime, and it was all hers.